Good evening, Cricut family, South Africa. My name is Soraya. Welcome to this Cricut Live festive edition. If you can hear me and see me, please let me know. I am going to wait a few minutes for people to join and then we can kick off this class. Okay, I can see some people coming in. Welcome to this Cricut Live. Hello, Karen. Karen said sound is good. Sarah, excited to make these. Yay! Hello, Susan. Hello, Karen. Hello, Raksha. Welcome back. Hello, Yuli. Hello, Candace. Okay, I'm just going to wait another minute and then we can get started. Hello, Natalie. Okay, so as always, if you have used felt or if you've made something for felt with felt, let me know in the comments. And I guess we can get started. Hello everyone, again my name is Soraya and we are doing a festive edition of Cricut classes. This whole Cricut challenge festive season is going to be absolutely amazing. It's just packed with amazing projects, lives, projects that you can do at home, projects that you can watch these lives as well, and it's very exciting. So just before we get started, a few things. This class is proudly sponsored by Logitech and Cricut South Africa. This is recorded, so if you cannot stay to the end or if you need to come back and watch anything for tips and to see how it's done, you can always watch the replay. The replay is available on Facebook and it's also available on the Cricut South Africa YouTube page. Hello, Zelda. Karen said she's already cut her pieces. Awesome. Yes, I will be having a look at the comments. If you are new or if you have any questions, do put those questions in the comment section. If I do miss them, we have an amazing admin team that will get those questions that I missed. Raksha said she hasn't used felt before. Raksha, you're going to love it. Cricut felt is absolutely awesome. I love using it. So we're gonna see how to do that. Hello, Soraya. And one more thing before we get started, do share your projects from all of these challenges and the makes that we're doing, your Christmas projects. Hashtag get festive with Cricut and you can win a prize. This is going all the way up to the 23rd of November, so you do have time to share your projects. Okay, let's get started. What are we making? So this is what we are making in our class today. It is little poinsettia felt earrings. Actually, let's switch to here so that you can see better. Hello, it's me. So these are the earrings. So they're really tiny. My hands are shaking. That's them. They're really tiny, really cute. So it is red felt and green felt. So they actually make such cute little earrings for Christmas. So that's what we're making, and we are going to be using Cricut felt. Using Cricut felt for earrings is actually one of my favorite things to use Cricut felt for. I've done other projects like baby projects or nursery room projects, all of these things. But I love making quirky earrings. If you've been in my classes before, if you see my projects. So this was one of my favorites from last year Christmas. It's a little gingerbread girl. So she has like a little, what do you call this? Like peppermint sweet candy thingy. There you go. And then it's got like foil iron on and her little face. So that is one from Christmas. I loved wearing these during Christmas. And of course, Christmas is during summer, so this is one of my summer favorites. This is the little strawberry daisy earring that I made. It's also got gold as well. So these are really cute. They're a combination of iron-on vinyl and Cricut felt. So I absolutely love, love, love wearing them. And then these here, this is a tiny little gingerbread girl that I made to match last year for Christmas. I kind of did like a gingerbread theme. So I did little cards and stuff like that. And so you could even do little felt thingies for keychains. You can put it on presents as little decor. There's so much you can do with felt. So what are we going to need for our class today? So the star of the show, of course, is the Cricut felt. So there's two types of Cricut felt that you can get here in South Africa at the moment. One is called the Summer Sky Sampler, which is the one that I'm using today, and the other one is called Carousel. So they both have red and green in it. I just like this one because the reds and the green's a little bit more muted. The Carousel is a bit more brighter, which is also pretty gorgeous as well. Zelda, get those ears pierced. Are we going to get ears pierced? I love piercings, if you know me. Okay, so that is the felt. It's the Cricut Summer Sky felt. So you will see that Cricut felt is a little bit on the thicker side. It is a little bit on the stiffer side, which is why I really like it, especially for beginners. There are some other felts that you can use, but some of them are really thin and flimsy. I will give you some tips just in case you can't get your hands on the Cricut felt and how you could make those work. So do stick around. You'll also need some Cricut iron-on vinyl. I used a glitter gold. You can get these, the glitter gold vinyl at the secret sale. So do shop the secret sale. So I am going to be using a fabric grip mat. I do like to use for my felt actually a strong grip mat, but my strong grip mat has seen better days. So we are going to use the fabric mat, which works beautifully. And then for our iron-on, we're going to be using the standard grip mat. We'll also need a heat press mat because we are going to be using the Easy Press. Mini, you can also use your household iron, but this is a very fiddly project, and there is about a 98% chance that I am going to get burnt. And so if you are using a household iron, do be careful. And I also designed a little earring card as well that you can find in the project. What you'll also need are some earring findings, so some hooks or some studs for your project and some tools. So let's get started. Let's hop on over to Design Space. So this is the project. We've already shared the project with you, so you can go through and you can press customize. Who said? Claudia said she likes making felt flowers for the house. I think it's Claudia. Yes, I do love making felt flowers. I don't know, for some reason, anything baby, I want to use felt. And so they're actually really, really awesome as well. So this is our project. I know if you've been in my classes before, you know that we do tend to get technical with design, but today we're actually going to, it's a pretty easy design. We're not getting too technical, so you should be able to follow along. In the project you will see, like I said, I have shared an earring card that I have made for these earrings that you can also make when you do these. So first up, what I did, so I'm going to go to advanced search here, so images, advanced search. And what I initially searched for was 3D flower. Oops, I'm shouting. Why am I shouting here? All right, so when you search for 3D flower, you'll see a lot of the time it will come up with rolled flowers. I have done rolled flowers with Cricut felt. Crazy, actually the very first rolled flowers I did was with Cricut felt, and I was like, why did I do that? I don't know. But you can do it, you just have to kind of figure out the sizing for it. And it was for a baby project as well. So you can see here, this did come up with a lot of rolled flowers. So I actually then just searched for 3D poinsettia. And here you can see I've got a little bit more options that we can use. This is the one that I used when I was looking for which image to use. What I wanted is I didn't want the petals to be separate. So you can see here, some of these look like the petals are separate, and then you kind of have to link them. So this is what I went for. There are different types. So you can see here, this one down here as well. It's got 3 layers and they're all solid, but I didn't want the green leaves to be like a 5 petal, so I went with this one. So I'm just going to add that to the canvas. Click view. Okay, let's hide our ones that we're gonna make and zoom out here. So the first thing I did was resize this, and I kind of, when it comes to earrings, what I like to do is I kind of go for about 4.5 for round earrings, which is a little bit on the smaller side. So I like to go for about 4.5 for my rounder earrings, and maybe 5 if the earring is long. So that's why I said it is a little bit on the what's the word, fiddly side, because they are a bit small. If you are new to working with felt, you can make them a little bigger. So I'm going to ungroup these and just check the size. So these are roughly the size that I want them to be. And so the first thing I'm going to do is change the colors because I don't know, my brain needs to do it, and make them look similar to the colors that we'll be working with. There you go. All right, so this is the image. So you can see one of the petals is smaller than the other one here. So if I grab these two, I can align them in the center. So you can see here, very simple, just layering these two. This is the gold glitter that goes in the center. So what I did with the gold glitter, initially I did cut out this little detail. But if you've worked with gold glitter before, or glitter, you will know that sometimes it is a little bit difficult when your cuts are this small to see. Yes, I don't wear my glasses, so this is the reason. And so what I'm going to do here is I'm actually going to contour all of these little details out. You won't really notice it. So I'm going to click hide all contours, click apply. And now we've made the little center piece solid. All right, so I'm going to grab these also, just align and center. Now, when I make earrings, something I like to do before I go any further is, let's switch back to the mat so you can see. Let's see. Okay, so when I make earrings, something I like to do and I like to consider when I'm working through the design process is to make sure that I have a piece that I can attach my earring findings to, a piece that's in the center. So you'll see here for these, for example, the flower, it's in the center at the top. For this one here as well, it's in the center at the top. So when I'm designing, what I like to do is I like to make sure that I have a petal either at the top or the bottom, depending where I need it, that I can attach my earring findings to. So what I want to actually do here is I want to attach my jump rings or my earring findings to the back petal. So here you can see I've put the back petal so that it is in the center. I know it probably won't make a difference. I could have just cut it exactly as it was, but when it comes to making your own designs, for me, what you see on your canvas must be what you are making on your mat. And that is the very first level to you starting to design and make your own things. So that's just, whoopsie, that's just a little step that I do. And I'm going to group these together. Okay, so the only part that I really fiddled with is here where I didn't want these petals to be separate. I wanted them to be together. So I put a circle onto my mat and I resized it to about about 1 centimeter or so. I kind of just matched it to the center here. So let me just hide that. And I kind of just matched it to the centerpiece here. So I kind of made it a little bit bigger than what you see in the centerpiece here. Okay, so again, I'm going to grab all three of these and align center. And now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to eyeball, wing it, place my leaves where I think I would like them to be. So again, here it's just, there's no set way of doing this. It depends on what you like. For me, I wanted the leaves to be at the bottom. If you wanted them, say, further out like this, then you could arrange them so that they are there, but I wanted them sort of down here. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to just move the petals to the back. Okay, and here I can kind of see roughly where the petals are, and maybe I'll move that one slightly this way, but I quite like where it is. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to hide this. So remember, my black circle is in the middle of my flower and that hasn't moved. So that is my base for aligning my leaves. So I'm just going to hide the flower. And now here I can maybe just kind of move stuff around if I want a little bit. So I'm just going to move this circle down a touch. It won't be exactly in the middle of the flower right now, but that's okay because it is going at the back. And so now here, this is what it looks like. Let me bring back my flower. I love it. And so I'm going to grab all of them. And here you can also either combine and unite. So when you go combine, unite, that means you're still deciding whether this is where you'd like it, and you can undo that. You can undo unite in the future if you wanted to move anything around, or if you know that's exactly where you wanted, you can combine weld. Let's bring back the rest of our flower, send that to the back, and that is our design. Also done. Pretty simple, nothing too fussy in terms of design work. And then all I did here was duplicate it for our second earring, and our design is ready to go. So just something, a tip from me, because I do like playing around and designing things. For example, when I was designing the gingerbread girls, these girls here, when I was designing them, because there are two parts to it, the little candy cane, peppermint, whatever, and the girl, what I did and what I always do when I'm designing something myself from scratch is I will cut it on a piece of paper first and kind of assemble it and see if that's where I want it, especially if I'm working with a new material. So if I went any smaller, for example, with this gold piece in the center, if I went any smaller on that gold piece and I left the little details, the holes in there. And if I couldn't cut that out on a piece of paper, chances are I'm not going to be able to cut it out on felt or on vinyl. So that is just a thing that I like to do, is I like to always test out my projects that I'm creating on a piece of paper. So that is it. I'm going to delete these and bring one of these onto the mat, and we're gonna make it. So today I'm only cutting one actually. I'm cutting 2 of the felt leaves, and I'm just cutting one of the red pieces just because I used the iron already. So I'm gonna go to make here. And another tip from me when using felt, I do like to bring it down a little bit and slightly away from the edge. So a little bit away from the edge here and a little bit away from the edge up there. The gold piece I'm going to mirror, and like I said, look how tiny that is. If you were trying to cut this on or any smaller and you didn't do a test, you might not get the result you want. So here as well, I'm just going to move it down and slightly away. Okay, so again, for our iron-on we have mirrored, and for our felt we have it just the way it is. So when it comes to using cutting felt, you can either use a rotary blade. Okay, let me just cancel this for a second so I can show you what we are going to be using. So when you cut felt, you can either use a rotary blade, which is in here, and I will show you it as soon as we're done with our cut, or you can use the fine point blade. I have cut felt with the fine point blade, but my preference is to use the rotary blade, and when it's cutting, you will see exactly why. The fine point blade tends to drag on the felt and could move your felt if your mat isn't super sticky, whereas the rotary blade rolls over the felt, and so that's why I prefer it, and you get really beautiful cuts. Okay, back to our desktop. Oh, one more thing. When using your rotary blade, that's why I canceled, you have to calibrate your machine just like you do for printing cuts. So you would click on your profile picture, go to settings, go to machines, and here you will see it says machine calibration. You would click calibrate, and then you would start on the rotary blade calibration. I will show you exactly what that is at the end of the class. I've already calibrated mine, so I don't want to mess with it. We can get started with our cuts. So let me just move these down. Okay, my iron-on I'm going to mirror. And here just also move it slightly over and down. And we are ready to go. So I'm going to choose felt as my material, and here you can see it is telling me to use my fine point blade, but I'm going to edit tools and switch to rotary blade. I see people love to share. Yes, we do love you guys to share your projects. Please do share your projects. Angelique said, have you tried the rotary blade in the Maker 4 yet? I don't have a Maker 4, I just have the Maker. So that's a no, but I'm sure somebody here in the comments has. So I'm going to prepare my mat. So again, when it comes to cutting felt, the key is to make sure that it is stuck down really, really well. The same tip I gave last week for faux leather is braid this down. Make sure that your mat is really, really sticky and braid it down. If your mat isn't very sticky, you can also use some masking tape to make sure that it is stuck down. So that is why I moved it down a little bit and over so that you can put your tape without it getting in the way of your cut. Okay, so that's fine. I know my mat is sticky, but I'm going to just braid down again. And now I'm going to load the mat. Lolly did say she's used the rotary blade with her Maker 4 and she loves it. Okay, so it is just detecting my rotary blade and now it's going to start cutting. Let's go here so you can see. So you can see here the rotary blade is lifting up and it's spinning. So this is the reason why you can only use the rotary blade with the Maker series. So the Maker 3 and the Maker 4. It's not possible to use it with your Explore because the Explore and the Joys don't have the drive mechanism that lifts up and spins the blade. Okay, and so that's also the reason why we calibrate the machine before we get started. It's so that when it does lift up and spin, that it spins it in the right place and it cuts back in the right place as well. Okay, so Sahana said she has an issue where her mat doesn't go through. Do you have what? She has the Maker. Okay, so you definitely have to make sure that a terrible ambassador thing. Here are all my star wheels in the corner because I have been using my machine to cut chipboard. But when you do load your mats, you do need to make sure that the wheels catch your mat. So I'm going to show you when I load the second mat in. So what I'm doing now is I'm just checking that my cut has gone through. So I'm lifting up a piece of the felt. I can see that it's cut through and only now am I going to unload. So unlike your vinyls, with your felt, you can kind of pull it off. And if there's any little catches, you can just pull it. So you can see here, I'm still going to be careful because I do know my petals are quite delicate. So I could use my little spatula that's here, but it's actually just fine to come right off. So that is the first piece of felt. I have no English today. I've lost all my words. Okay, so I'm going to pull this off. So you can see just how crisp and how nicely that felt cut, and that is exactly the reason why I really like using the Cricut felt, is because of this reason. Let me braid this on really nicely and put a piece of tape. Oh, do I actually have enough of the green? No, I do not. I actually realized I thought I was only going to be cutting one green, so let me just switch out this piece for a big piece. Luckily it's right here because I remember now I'm actually cutting two pieces of the green and not just one, so we do need a bigger piece. So I'm going to tape that down. I should be using masking tape, but I don't know where it is, so I'm using invisible tape. Okay, and again, braiding it down. When it comes to any material, whether it's cardstock, faux leather, vinyl, making sure that it's properly stuck on your mat is going to give you the best results. Okay, so making sure that we are cutting the right material. Okay, so I think it was Sahana. So when you put your mat in, okay, you need to make sure that it goes all the way in before you press your load button so that the rollers catch it. Okay, so it was pressed up right against the rollers and the rollers caught it. Okay, and I'm going to press cut. Okay, so here is our first cuts that we did. So you can see here they are cut beautifully. Really nice sharp edges. There's no little pieces hanging off or anything. So as I said earlier, if you are using a different brand of felt, sometimes they're not as stiff. No, it's cutting the wrong mat. Sorry. Stop. It's cutting out my tiny little piece of gold, even though I did choose the green one. Let's go back here. Edit. Okay, so I'm just going to move these over. Done. And do that again. Okay. Round 2. Okay, cut. So as I was saying, if you are using a different brand of felt, it might not be very stiff, and so when it is cutting, what might happen is, oh my goodness, I didn't choose Rotary Blade. Okay, third time lucky. Let's do this. So what I sometimes do if I'm cutting a felt that's not very stiff, if I can't get the color in one of the Cricut sampler packs, what I do is I use some iron in the back of my felt. So what I'll do is I'll get a felt, the same, oh sorry, iron vinyl that's the same color as my felt, and I'll iron it onto the back, and then I will put it on my mat and cut it. I think for Comic-Con 2 years ago, I did like snake scales, and so what I did was actually this vinyl here, which is like a holographic sort of vinyl, on the big sheet of felt, like a full sheet. I ironed on a full piece of the holographic, and then I cut little snake scales out, and it turned out so beautifully. So if you are having trouble cutting your felt, that's probably not as stiff or thick as Cricut felt, what you can do is iron on a piece of iron-on vinyl that's the same color to the back, and it will work. Okay, so our petals are done. And again, that cut out so beautifully. All right, and last but not least, even though it wanted to go first, let's do our piece of gold. Oh, actually, I'm going to do that on the standard grip mat. And while I'm chatting away, I must remember to change the blade. Okay, again, bring that down, making sure that it is stuck on really nicely. And I'm going to change the blade to the fine point blade. Okay, just making sure that it's clean and that there is no residue or anything on the blade. Going back to design space, that's the one we're going to cut, and I'm going to change the material to glitter iron-on, and I do have my fine point blade in. And now we're going to load the mat and begin the cut. So while that's cutting, here is the rotary blade. So you can see it does have what I said is the wheel, and that is the drive housing, which is why you can only use the Maker series for this blade. So the rotary blade, so I just brought two of these to show you. The rotary blade has what is called the drive housing. So the drive housing means that this is attached to the blade. You can replace the blade, but this comes as one unit. This is the quick swap. And so the quick swap is where you can press this at the top, remove the blade, and put another blade on. So this is the single scoring wheel. I could get the engraving tip and put the engraving tip here. Okay, so that's just a tip for you. You cannot buy the quick swap. So you cannot buy the scoring blade or the engraving tip and think that you can put the rotary blade in it. No, the rotary blade and the knife blade come with their own housing. While you can replace the blades when they get blunt, you cannot swap it out like this quick swap. So I hope that helps. All right, so I'm going to unload that. Hello, Francis. Welcome to the class. All right, so we've got all of our little pieces cut out. We can turn the machine off and just move it back a little bit. There you go. Let's go here. Okay. So now what I'm going to do is we're going to start assembling. So I'm just going to weed my iron on, and I don't need my weeding tool for this because it is just one piece that I'm weeding. And that's it. So you can see how tiny this is. If I left on little details, it would have cut through. I just wouldn't have been able to weed it properly in this light with my terrible eyes. Okay, so next up what we are going to do is we have our little pieces. Okay, so here are our little pieces, and what I did when I was doing these is I actually wanted the flower to have some texture. So you can see here, if I put these together, the difference between the two. Ooh, focus. There you go. You can see the difference between the two. That's kind of just like flat and dull. And I put the flower together and I kind of figured, like, I was like, no, I really want this to pop and to really make an impact. So what I did was to create these little 3D look, I used the mini press to add a bit of detail. So if you go to the Cricut Heat app and you put in that you are using the mini press on felt, it will tell you that you need to pull this here. You need to use your mini press on heat 1. So I did that. I'm doing glitter iron onto the felt, and it said on heat set 1 for 30 seconds. Okay, so I'm going to bring that here. I'm going to bring my pressing mat with me. Sarah said she loves the texture. It really did change the look and the feel of the earrings, from, like, you know, just a simple crafty project to something that I love giving as gifts. Now I will try to figure out which is the top and which is the bottom. That looks like it's the bigger one, so that will be the bottom, and that is the smaller one, so that will be the top. So I'm just putting it together before I do my iron-on. So the iron-on is going to go on this piece, and I'm going to place it in the center, and I'm going to use some parchment paper or Teflon. So this is just baking paper, so baking paper, not wax paper. This is the paper that you use when you're baking, parchment paper, so it doesn't have any wax. So we're supposed to do this for 30 seconds. I'm just going to move this around and lift it up. So I'm not going to press all 30 in one go, just to make sure that I don't burn the felt. Okay. And I'm going to press it again. So Hannah said she has that heat press. She uses it for sewing. That's amazing. There you go. So it should be about ready. So when you are doing your iron-on, whether you're doing it on clothing, whether you're doing it on faux leather, always protect your item so that your iron doesn't burn your material. So I'm right-handed, and my plug unfortunately is on the left today, so I am definitely going to burn myself. All right, so now we're going to start adding the texture to the petals. So what I did is I squeezed them in the center. So I did a little bit of a squeeze, making sure that it's about as centered as possible, and then I press them down. So for this one, because I'm pressing mostly from the back, I didn't actually use the parchment paper because, like I said, it's fiddly. Please don't be alarmed if I burn myself. Like I said, I'm having to use this a little bit weird because my plug is on the wrong side, so probably I'm gonna burn myself. So to avoid burning yourself, press it from the side, press down a little bit, and then move your heat press that way. So start pressing on the end, release your fingers, and then press that way. Okay, let's do that again. So this is the longest and most fiddliest part of this project. If my heat press was facing the right way, I could go a bit faster. Let's do that. Okay, there you go. Actually, there you go. I actually can do it. All right, so like I said, fold, start pressing from the outside so that you get a little bit of a fold, and then move your fingers and work in. You can also use a household iron to do this, but again, just be super careful. So you can see here, my fingers at the back. I'm going to press from the front of the petal, move my finger, and then roll. For this one, like I said, I'm not using the parchment paper because it's not a very long press. It's a quick press. If I did press for too long, you can definitely burn your felt and the petal will stay closed, but you can kind of pry it open. Okay, so you start getting the hang of it and you'll feel exactly how long you need to press to get that little fold. And after you burn your fingers a few times, like I did, you'll get the press, move your fingers thing down. I unfortunately burn myself all the time, whether I'm cooking or crafting. Okay, so we are going to put these together with a glue gun today. I have used, and I do like using, Jewel Bond when I work with felt, just like I use it for faux leather. However, if you were in my faux leather class that I did just recently, you'll know that I did use Jewel Bond glue. And even though my keychain, I left it to press overnight with weight on it so that it really stuck, I could handle it straight away. When it comes to felt, if I put the Jewel Bond, which is going to wet the material, which is going to wet the felt, and I moved it around, it's going to come apart. So with felt, you definitely need to let the weight sit on it until it is glued together until it's dry. Okay, so that's the one. We're gonna do the second one. Oh wow, we have someone watching this from France. Hello, welcome, bonjour. I will pull out some terrible French from school. I love that you can join these classes from anywhere and that you can also watch the replays. So if you are still a beginner and you're not quite ready to take on such a small felt project just yet, what you can do is do a bigger felt project for now. I do have some cute Christmas ornaments that I've shared that are felt. You could do a bigger felt project until you feel confident enough to tackle a smaller one like this. And then when you're ready to do these flowers or whatever, you can come back and watch the replay. Susie says you can even walk your dogs at lunch. I love that. Susie, I have like some really cute, my dogs have Christmas hats. I'm waiting to see your dogs in Christmas hats this year. And they'll be tagged Get Festive with Cricut. So coming up next, we have Zelda tomorrow. She's here in the comments. Zelda's making a festive t-shirt. If you've seen Zelda's t-shirts, I'm a huge fan. And then on Friday, we have a flash challenge. So on Friday, there is a flash challenge. It starts at 6 a.m. and it ends at midnight. So do check your Facebook and join the challenge. And then on Saturday, we have our next live. So we don't have a live every single day. We do have some make at home projects. So we're done with this. And now I need to very quickly excuse myself to plug in my glue gun. At least I don't have to crawl under the table today, which is usually what I have to do to get my glue gun plugged in. Okay, I'm back with my glue gun. So I am terrible at using my glue gun. Like I said, the only reason why I am using it today is because with the jewel bond, you need to let the weight sit on the item until it's dry before you can move it around. And that won't happen anytime before the class ends. So I'm going to use my glue gun. Like I said, I will definitely be gluing myself, burning myself. Send help. Okay, so I'm just letting that heat up, and while that's heating up, I will show you what we are going to be using today. So you can use any kind of findings. These are silver hooks. If you are using silver hooks, you could change out the kind of iron you use. You could also do a stud, for example, and you just stick that on to the stud if you wanted. I am using jump rings, or some people call them O-rings as well. And if you wanted to make these a little bit different, you could also use something like these or chains if you wanted to do like a long earring. But I'm just going to do them like I did these ones, which are the short earrings. And while we're waiting for the glue gun to heat up, this is what it would look like on the earring card. It makes such a cute project. You can, or gift, you can actually put on the card, Happy Holidays or Merry Christmas. So that is what they look like on the little earring card. Whoopsie. Really cute. I'm so nervous about burning myself. Okay. While that is heating up, let's make the holes for our earring findings. So that is how they're going to go together. remember we made sure that we had a piece at the top to attach our jump ring, and so that's where I'm going to make the hole. I do have a hand roll which I use for faux leather, but for felt I actually just use my weeder, making sure. I like to do it on the back piece, that's why the back piece had the petal in the center. So I just very gently push in. Let me do this with one. Just very gently push this in. And yes, if you're looking at me stabbing myself with the weeder, I also stab myself. So I just push it in a little bit, not too far. And you can see, can you see that there's now a hole? Don't go too close to the edge of your felt because you could tear it, but that's good enough. And let's do this one. Okay, so again, I'm just using my weeder very carefully to poke a hole. Depending on how big you want the hole, you can just go a little further because the weeder goes from very thin to thicker. Okay, I think my glue gun is almost heated up. While that is still heating up, we can put the earring findings on. I know I'm doing this a little bit the opposite way, but I don't want to go too over time. Let's see. Ooh, do I have a piece of paper? Let's use that. Okay, it is heated up. So what I usually do, because my glue gun is quite big, it's not a crafting gun, what I usually do when I have to use it with felt or something really small, I actually let it spill over slightly and use what's there instead of squeezing some out. So I'm going to show you here. I'm going to let that sit for a second. My glue stick is making it heavy. Okay, so first I'm going to put on the back. Okay, so again, making sure that the hole we made is on top, and it's going to go like that. If you have one of these tools or something round, you can actually put the glue and then like press it into that so that you can get a little bit of shaping with it, but I'm not going to do that today. Okay, so I'm going to put a bit of glue on here, very little. Try to use my left hand. Okay. And then placing this on top. So again, if I squeezed the glue gun, there's a possibility that too much of the glue would come out, and then you kind of get these glue strings as well, which is not great. So just doing a little bit works. So that is the one, and you can also move it slightly before you need to press it down. Okay, but that one I didn't really press any glue out. I'm just going to use what was on the glue gun to get it in. There you go. So that is the one. Let's do the second one. So for the back piece, because it's a little on the bigger side, I can squeeze the glue gun very gently, still trying to make sure that I don't oopsie, that one's placed very weird. Okay, I just pulled that one apart because I placed that one very weird. Let's make sure that it's in the right place. There you go. This is why I prefer to use the Jewel Bond, because it's a little bit cleaner, but like I said, you do need to make sure that you weight it down until it's completely dry. There you go. So we are all glued, and now we can attach our findings. Okay, for that you just need some earring tools. And very quickly before I get started, something I do like to show my crafters: when opening jump rings or O-rings, what you want to do is you want to bring, so here's the opening of the O-ring, you want to, so if I'm holding it upright, you will use your tool and first open it this way, and when you close it, you're going to close it back that way. I know some people think when you open O-rings, so I'm going to hold them this way, that you pry it apart. That's when you see people, when the earrings, the jump rings are open. So the best way to open a jump ring or O-ring is to bring it this way. So now it's open. Okay, so now it's open. And then when you close it, you kind of go this way. And then you will see that it is closed flush. Ooh, focus. That it's closed flush. Sometimes you'll see that there's a big gap, and that's because people open them that way instead of doing that sliding back and forth motion. Okay, let's put our findings on. So I will put the small piece in and hope my hands don't shake, because my hands are shaking. Okay, so just very gently making sure that my jump ring or O-ring, as some people call it, goes in. These are very tiny, so I'm trying to see if it is in the right place. So let me just bring it closer. Okay, so there is it in, and I use 3 jump rings. So thank goodness I've already attached 2 together, so you only need to see me fumbling 2 and close it. So you can't really see, but you'll see, if this would focus, that it's closed really flush. One of them fell off. These are so tiny. I should have used the big ones, but I like the look of the small ones better. Okay, so that is one set done. Let's do the second set. So Raksha said, good tip. I had to learn that the hard way because I kept on prying my jump rings open, like I thought you pry it open that way, and they wouldn't close properly, and they just didn't look great, and I had to figure out why exactly were my jump rings looking not so great, and it's just the technique of how you open and close them. Oh my goodness, these are so tiny. And the third one. Okay, so with the third one, I'm going to attach my, where is it? These, so I've got these little dangly bead things. Instead of a hook, I'm going to use those. So whenever you're putting it on, just make sure that the front is facing obviously the way you want it to. Drop it down, then grab the ring with your tweezers or pliers or whatever it is, and close. Okay, that is one. Zelda's got some hoop earrings. There you go. So that is one earring done. Let's do the second one. But now I'm realizing I actually closed the third one. Opening it again. So opening it going this way. So across, and then close it, you move it back. Oh, my hands are shaking. These are so tiny. Of course, on handshaking day, I use the tiniest rings. Oh, we did it. Okay, and let's close these. And that is our earrings. Let's just clear these up. And here are your festive felt earrings. If you do have any little glue hairs or anything, you can pull it off. I was lucky because I didn't actually squeeze the glue out, that it didn't. Hello, it's me. Sorry, I don't know why it's not focusing that way. So here is our little felt earrings that we're going to be using for Christmas, the holiday season. I hope that you like them and that you make them. So at the back, I decided that I liked this with the little circle. If you wanted to, you could make the circle bigger. You could even make it the shape of the petal if you wanted, but I didn't really want to do that. I wanted the green to stand out just like that. And that is our little Christmas earrings. Thank you so much for joining the class. Please do share your festive projects. Remember, get festive with Cricut. It's going all the way to the 23rd of November. Tomorrow, Zelda's up with her Cricut t-shirt. Please do share your projects and join that challenge. The next live is on Saturday, and there is a flash challenge on Friday. Make the circle bigger. Susie, what party are you going to making the circle bigger? Do join the flash challenge. Remember, that is going from 6 a.m. on Friday till midnight. So get your projects in before the deadline. Thank you so much for joining the class, and I can't wait to see your